Your Right Factor's on tonight. I gotta use some Tic Tacs just in case I start kissing her. You know, I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them.
The Washington Post releasing a private conversation between Donald Trump and an entertainment journalist. In that chat, Mr. Trump talks about women. Tonight, Dana Perino and I will analyze this latest Trump woman controversy.
How many kids are in there? 20?
Hurricane Matthew spares most of Florida, but is still dangerous. We'll have live updates this evening.
You can call us wrong, but don't call us weasels. We are not weasels. We are honest people.
Also tonight, reports are some FBI personnel are furious that the Bureau did not do the right thing in the Clinton email investigation. We'll have a follow-up report.
Caution. You are about to enter the no-spin zone. Factor begins right now. Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. Lots of breaking news, including an embarrassing audio tape of Donald Trump and WikiLeaks releasing some of Hillary Clinton's secret Wall Street speeches. We also have Hurricane Matthew, not as bad as the media hype. We've got it all covered on this live broadcast. Let's start with presidential politics. Here are the facts. 2005, Donald Trump was doing a segment with Access Hollywood. He was speaking with the entertainment reporter Billy Bush privately about women. The Washington Post somehow acquired that audio tape. I'm not going to play too much of it because it's crude guy talk, but here's a sample. I gotta use some Tic Tacs just in case I start kissing her. You know, I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. You just kiss. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything. Shortly after that tape was posted, Donald Trump issued this statement, quote, "This was locker room banter, a private conversation that took place many years ago. Bill Clinton has said far worse to me on the golf course. I apologize if anyone was offended," unquote. It's worth noting that the Washington Post reporter involved with the tape, David Farenthold, wrote this line in his article, quote, "The tape appears at a time when Trump, the Republican presidential nominee, has sought to make a campaign issue out of his opponent's marriage. Trump has criticized former President Bill Clinton for his past infidelity and criticized opponent Hillary Clinton as her husband's enabler," unquote. What all the editors at the Washington Post apparently missed is that most of Mr. Trump's comments about the Clintons came after he was branded a woman hater by his opponent. Also, Trump refrained from mentioning the marriage in the last debate. Now, it seems to me that any fair-minded news operation would have included those two facts in the article. Or am I wrong? Anyway, this is an embarrassment for Donald Trump, no question. And here is the latest on the Hillary Clinton front. The hacker outfit WikiLeaks apparently accessed some of her speeches to Wall Street people, speeches the candidate did not want made public. A quick examination reveals no big headline, but two interesting comments. First, Secretary of State Clinton knew her BlackBerry correspondence was being targeted. Quote, "At the State Department, we were attacked every hour, more than once an hour, by incoming efforts to penetrate everything we had." And that was true across the U.S. government. And we knew it was going on when I would go to China or I would go to Russia, unquote. So the question then becomes, why did Secretary Clinton use a private server if she knew all that? Second speech component is this, quote, "Part of the problem with the political situation, too, is that there is such a bias against people who have led successful and or complicated lives. You know, the divestment of assets, the stripping of all kinds of positions, sale of stocks, it just becomes very onerous and unnecessary." So that is clearly sympathy for the wealthy. Bernie Sanders not gonna like it. Now, the fallout from this breaking news is still to be determined, but you can bet it'll come up during the debate on Sunday night. Let's not analyze further, Dana Perino. So let's take the Trump thing first. You think the audio is going to hurt him?
Yes, I do. And not just with women. I mean, he already has problems with women in the polls, and he's underperforming a little bit with men, but with women, he's really upside down. So there's that. It's shockingly lewd, but you were right to only play that part. But if you listen to that, it is... I understand that it's locker talk, or locker room talk. I've never heard that kind of language spoken by a grown person who actually wants to be president of the United States. He said, I know that his supporters are enthusiastic for him. In the Fox News poll released tonight, it's one of the best pieces of news in there for him. They are enthusiastic and they're strongly supportive.
We're doing that next, so I'm going to give you the poll numbers.
So but they will offer excuses for him.
Well,
and he doesn't need excuses.
It's not about excuses at this juncture. I mean, I think that if you want to report accurately, Donald Trump was an entertainer and businessman for many, many years. And he engaged in all kinds of activities, all right? Mm-hmm. He said all kinds of things. Not a politician, wasn't guarded in his private conversations. I think that's the truth.
That's fair.
Okay. So then it's up to the American voter, women and men, to say, okay, if a guy's going to talk this locker room stuff, is that disqualify him? Do you think it disqualifies him?
Not disqualifies, of course not. And I think both of them are. We're past the disqualification issue because we're 31 days and there's going to be.
No, but I was wondering, as a woman journalist.
No, I don't think it disqualifies him.
Now, so let me ask you another thing. Then the Clinton campaign comes out saying, hey, I mean, you can't put this man in the White House. But then when you think back about Bill Clinton, who puts job performance, because I think Clinton did a pretty good job as president, particularly with the economy and welfare reform, over personal behavior.
Was certainly for the Bill Clinton piece, but are Republicans held to a different standard? I don't know.
Well,
and it's not just women that are offended.
I'm
just saying, I don't think that it's just women that are offended. In fact, Reince Priebus, the RNC chairman, just issued a statement that was very aggressive about it. And I think that I do think that matters. I do want to point out one thing.
What did Priebus say, though?
He said, I don't have it right in front of me because it just came out right before I sat down, that no woman should ever be described with these terms. Okay. And it's short and sweet, and that's it. And it's because it's not just women who would be offended by it. Now, I don't think I think that he will be able to deal with it in the debate just fine. People that want to support him are going to support him, but I think this is interesting what Hillary Clinton did from a tactical standpoint. She pulls out this part of the quote, that when you're a star, they let you do it. And I think the reason why she's doing that is she has a problem with young millennial women. Mm-hmm. They're not enthusiastic about voting for her. So what are they enthusiastic about? Well, there has been a movement on campus, you've covered it here, to fight back from a woman's point of view against unwanted advances from men who are in powerful positions, be it celebrity or politics or in management, that think that they can have this kind of way with women.
So Mrs. Clinton is getting into that.
I think she's she's targeting those young women.
Let's talk about the WikiLeaks thing. And I mean, this is there's no privacy anymore ever in your whole life, you know. So they come out, and the two that I read were, did you see anything else? Because I did.
Brett Baer on Special Report went through quite a lot of it on with the panel, and I think there are some things in there that would make a young millennial say, this is what we thought all along. She says one thing to us, and that she's going to go after Wall Street.
Give me an example.
Well, she talks about her being a middle class, that she grew up in the middle class, but that she now obviously is not middle class, and so she has to have a public position and a private position. She actually says this in one of the transcripts. So I think that's one of the problems for her with millennials, because they want authenticity, and they don't want somebody who's a typical politician who will say one thing to try to get votes and another thing behind the scenes to try to get support from Wall Street.
Right.
I don't know how much this will hurt her. I do think that the timing is very interesting. I don't know how the Washington Post got this audio and they decided to run with it. I don't know how WikiLeaks then an hour later all of a sudden has these transcripts to release. I believe they probably had them to release the night before the third debate. Which would probably been even more helpful.
Speculation. But look, there's a lot of gamesmanship going on behind the scenes.
It's very strategic by both sides.
Do you think this is the dirtiest presidential campaign in history? I mean, Grover Cleveland, and I'm not being facetious here, they accused him of having illegitimate children, which he did.
And at that time, that was a big deal.
And there have been other really dirty stuff. But I think this is the dirtiest thing I've seen.
It feels really bad to me as well, because it's also... It's not just the two candidates fighting against each other, it's their supporters viciously fighting against each other.
And the press, too, you know, so you got everybody in there. Last question, I just want to give Dana just a little more time. If you were advising Trump, and you have to assume this tape might come up in the debate, what would you tell him to say?
I would say, I can understand why you would be offended. I never meant for anybody to hear that. And I will promise you I will not say things like that again if I'm elected president of the United States.
Okay. You wouldn't say you were intoxicated or you hit your head just before you went on the bus. Something like that.
No, because there's probably more audio where that came from.
Yeah. Okay, Dana Perino, everybody, thank you. Carl Cameron will have more on these two breaking political stories. Cameron is at the Trump campaign a bit later on. But directly ahead, brand new Fox poll, as mentioned, is good news for the Trump campaign. We'll give you some numbers. And Hurricane Matthew battering the South. How bad is it down there? The Factor's coming right back. Campaign 2016 segment tonight. Brand new Fox News poll just released 2 hours ago. The presidential race essentially tied. Hillary Clinton 44%, Donald Trump 42%. That is in the statistical margin of error. Gary Johnson 6%, Jill Stein 2%. With all the problems Donald Trump has had this past week, the Trump campaign should be happy with that poll. But they may not be happy with this. American women, as Dana Perino mentioned, 50% of the ladies support Secretary Clinton, just 38% like Trump. And now we have that audio to boot. For men, it's the opposite. 46% prefer Trump, 37% Clinton. By the way, 87% of Democrats now back Clinton, 84% of Republicans going for Trump. Finally, who do you think will win the election? 55% of Americans say Hillary Clinton will win. 33% believe Donald Trump would triumph on November 8th. Joining us now from Boston, David Palilogos, director of the Political Research Center at Suffolk University, does polling. Here in New York City, Arnon Mishkin, director of the Fox News Decision Desk. I was surprised that the Fox poll was so close. Were you?
I was surprised as well. Hillary Clinton had a terrific week last week.
Yes.
She's had a fairly good week this week. Donald Trump had a horrible week last week. He actually had a pretty good week this week since the Pence debate, where Pence did much better, and that may have helped. But I was very surprised by this poll that suggests this race is a lot closer than people were thinking just the past few days.
Now, on the state-by-state basis, Mr. Palilogos, are you seeing that it's close there as well?
You know, it's closing. One thing we've noticed with Donald Trump is that during the time of debates, his numbers usually plateau and in some cases drop. This was no exception. So we saw a spike for Hillary Clinton right after the debate. And now we're seeing the numbers come down a little bit for Hillary Clinton, and Donald Trump's numbers are closing a little bit. We released a poll in New Hampshire yesterday showing a close race. And you look at some of the other battleground states over this past week, the numbers have come down.
Yeah, we have Florida with dead heat, pretty much. North Carolina, dead heat. Pennsylvania, Clinton up by 6. Nevada, dead heat. Colorado, Clinton up by a little bit more than 4%. And Ohio, Trump up by very small, so it's a dead heat there. I'm wondering, Arnon, if the national poll, the popular vote poll, is going to reflect these battleground states. It's hard to quantify how tonight's developments on the Trump front and the Hillary front,
yes,
certainly more sensational against Donald Trump. I don't know if that seeps in anymore. I mean,
that's a really good question.
Yeah.
One of the things that's interesting about the Fox News poll is it is not clear that the tax thing last week, that apparently Trump was able to deduct $1 billion
yes,
in
the tax
20
deal,
years,
right.
and that it did not seem to have much of an effect on the race.
Yeah, I just don't know, because ideology is so powerful, David. And that's what this race is coming down to. It's coming down to a guy who wants to shake up Washington and change almost everything against a politician who wants to continue the Obama administration policies. So as I was trying to get across to Dana, that stark divide may override the personal finance and the personal shenanigans.
We will keep in mind the backdrop before which this election is being held. The backdrop is that the wrong track numbers are just under 60%. And the reason this race is close, despite gaffes on both sides, but especially with Donald Trump, is because people think Washington, D.C. is broken. They don't like the system, and they think the country is on the wrong track. And so that's buoyed Donald Trump, even despite his personal transgressions and some of his missteps in the debate.
Now, when you see a polling trend change as quickly as this does, it goes week to week. I mean, it's like 1 week there's no chance he's going to win, then he's up, and then now Sunday, it's not going to be as well watched as the first one, but still it'll get out there through the internet. Does that say that there's uncertainty in the mind of the voters?
Total. What you basically have is two candidates about whom the voters are uneasy. They have questions about Donald Trump's temperament. They have questions about Hillary Clinton's honesty. And more than half of the country actually doesn't like either one. And but one of these two people is going to be our next president. And so there's a bit of bouncing around that sort of, I heard one negative thing about this person, so I'll be for that person now. And I think that's what we're seeing. And at some point, the public is going to have to decide which one of these people is the next president.
Do you think, from your vantage point, the press has a lot to do with this, or is it just the candidates themselves? Because the press is obviously favoring Hillary Clinton. There's
Much
no
of it,
doubt
absolutely.
about it. You know,
Yes.
I mean, I would put it at 85, 90%. In fact, David, if you are a person in the media and you favor Donald Trump, you get hammered. You get slaughtered by your peers, not by the folks, by your peers. So the peer pressure in journalism is enormous to be anti-Trump.
It's a sidebar issue, Bill. What really matters is the two blocks of persuadable voters that are left. The undecided voters, which are 7-8%, and the Gary Johnson voters, which are 7-8%. That 15% matters. That 15% will determine the outcome. And it's twice as much as it was 4 years ago and 8 years ago, because back then there was more positive energy, there was more excitement about the candidates, both candidates. You have all negativity now.
All right, wrap it up, Lorna.
Okay, just one thing. The most interesting number you cited was 55% of America said they think Clinton's going to win.
That's
I would argue if the more people think Clinton's going to win, the more likely Trump has to get the protest vote, the people who want change, but feel that there's a risk to them going out to vote for Trump.
Interesting. So it mobilizes his turnout.
Yes, exactly.
All right, guys, thank you. Very good. Directly ahead, how bad is Hurricane Matthew? We'll have a up to the second report. And later, it's the 20th anniversary of Fox News. We'll speak about it in the Talking Points memo up ahead. In fact, saving tonight, Hurricane Matthew roaring up the southeast coast of the USA. With us now, Fox News anchor John Scott, who has been covering the story. Where is it right now?
About 60 miles east-northeast of Jacksonville, Florida. The good news is it has stayed pretty well out to sea. The eye of the storm has not come on shore yet. Not looking so good for South Carolina. Governor Nikki Haley said the forecast for her state is getting worse. And you can see just in this graphic there, that radar map, what happens. If this storm were a clock between the 12 and 3 o'clock position, that's where the worst of the winds are. And all that water, all that storm surge that's getting blown by the wind is getting pushed up against the coasts.
But Florida was
really
lucky.
worried
I mean,
about.
Florida didn't get whacked that badly, right?
They didn't. And
Anybody dead?
There are 4 deaths already in Florida.
Yeah.
And, again, they tell people to take these things seriously. Someone went outside to feed their animals in the middle of the storm, and a tree fell on them. I don't know why you feed your animals in the middle of a storm like this, but that's what happened.
All right.
Another couple was asphyxiated, apparently, running a generator in their garage.
So they're worried about Charleston. Charleston, a beautiful town, low, very low. They call it the low country. And if this water surge comes up, it'll flood the town. So that's where, and Savannah also is in this the wake of this thing, right?
Yeah, I was in Charleston for Hurricane Hugo back in '89, '90, and it got hammered then.
Yep.
But they are used to hurricanes, and this one so far has not been as bad as a lot of people thought. Although
the
you look at
media
Haiti,
hyped it like crazy. I mean, I thought it was the end of the world. I made my will out and everything like that. but they always do that. But you have to. I understand. You got to give people a heads up. Now Haiti, about 300-400 dead in Haiti.
more than that now.
Yeah?
It's up to 850.
850,
and the
really?
southern half of the country is completely cut off from the northern half. They don't know what's happened there. There's one town where they estimate 30,000 homes, and again, you're looking at the homes in Haiti.
Right.
30,000 homes.
Yeah, these
destroyed.
homes are hovels anyway,
Yeah.
and they don't have, very strong structures, and there's nowhere to evacuate the people to, except for the churches. So we had 850 dead, and food and water. I understand the U.S. military is going on in there with food and water, right?
Plus, so much of Haiti has been defoliated because people chop down the forests basically for firewood,
Right.
and then you get these horrific mudslides coming off the mountains, and that's
this
that's what
country
kills
is
so
just
many people.
beleaguered constantly. Bahamas, what happened there?
We haven't gotten a lot of reports out of the Bahamas yet, and it usually takes a couple of days because communications get knocked out,
Right.
electricity is out. 1.5 million people in Florida have no power right now, and a lot of those people aren't going to get it back for a couple of weeks.
Florida?
In Florida.
Okay, so it's going to be 90 in Florida, I understand, tomorrow in South Florida, and they don't have any air conditioning, so that's not going to be good.
Right.
All right, so just to wrap it up, it's heading towards South Carolina. Everybody there, we want you to be prepared, and then it's supposed to go out to sea or veer out after North Carolina to sea. Let's hope that happens. Let's hope it veers out now. Now, I just want to say something. Scott, you've been here for 20 years.
20 years.
And then Scott and I worked together at Inside Edition, so he's seen way too much of me in his career.
The stories I could tell.
Don't.
Okay.
Please don't. All right. Thanks for it. We appreciate it. Plenty more ahead as the factor moves along this evening. Happy birthday to us. Fox News on the air for 20 years, and I've been here every single one of them. Talking Points will address it. Then there's a rebellion within the FBI, I hear, over the Bureau booting the Hillary Clinton email investigation. We'll have a follow-up report, and we hope to stay tuned for those reports. Personal story segment tonight. Happy 20th birthday, Fox News. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. Quick 2 decades, that I can tell you, to quote one Donald Trump. From nothing, Fox News has risen to become a powerful force in America, as well as a $1 billion a year franchise. On-air talent and smart management have driven the success. In primetime, Hannity and I have been here from the beginning. Steve Doocy, a legacy guy in the morning. John Scott, as you just heard, in the afternoon. Without a doubt, FNC has made its mark with robust debate and the point of view that traditional conservative thought deserves a hearing alongside liberal thought. But this is no ideological monolith here, as the presidential campaign proves. There's just as much anti-Trump sentiment in this building as pro-Trump sentiment, sometimes even causing differences between anchors. Now, you will never see that in any other American TV news operation. All the others pretty much despise Donald Trump across the board. So that's what makes us more interesting to watch. We are not predictable. Factor's been on top for 16 consecutive years. Johnny Carson knew how that felt, but few others will ever experience it. 3 Factor staff members have been with the network for 20 years with me, Amy Sonin, Rob Monaco, and the indispensable Makeda Wubna. The rest of my staff are the Navy SEALs of broadcast journalism, professionals who never waver. So happy birthday, FNC. Party on. And that's the memo. Now for reaction with us, Joe Concha, media reporter for the Hill newspaper. So I wanted you on because you don't have ideological acts. You know, I've seen your writings over the years. You're not trying to hurt anybody. But I think it's an indisputable fact that most of the media wants to hurt Fox News and tries and goes out of its way to hurt us. Mm-hmm. Despite that, we prevail. Why?
Loyalty. That's the name. That's really the reason I keep coming back to, Bill. I talk to executives throughout the industry, and they're jealous of Fox because they have an audience that is more loyal than any other out there, cable news, broadcast, whatever. Now, why is that? It's because of what you just mentioned before, that there are people at this network that have been here since 1996. You've been in the same time slot at 8 o'clock for 20 years. No other anchor can say that on a national level.
I started at 6, and I think it was about 18 months or, who's that? Who were you looking at?
A guy with a lot more hair.
Now I look more like him now than I, but anyway, they moved me up to 8. Catherine Cryer was the first anchor at 8 o'clock on Fox News.
So 19 years.
They moved me up quick, and then we overcame everybody. And I agree with you. The Factor viewers are very loyal. We've developed franchises in books, in movies. We got Killing Reagan movie coming up, Legends and Lies, and people seem to appreciate whatever we're giving out. So that's the next question. What are we giving out?
What are you giving out?
Why are they so loyal?
Okay, well, look at the media landscape. All right. On the right, you have, or on the left, I should say, you have a media that any objective or lucid person would say leans left in certain degrees. So then you have this whole other swath, 50% of the country, right, that was yearning for something else. Give me an alternative. And what's the key to any success? Offering something unique that other people are not offering, other businesses. In this case, you filled a void by offering up actual debate.
But let me stop you there. MSNBC is a liberal network. Would you say that?
Yes, of course.
Okay. So almost all of their people, except for the hard news people on NBC News, who once in a while come over, are left-wingers, right?
Right.
But they don't come close to our audience. So if you look at the polls, conservative liberals they're fairly even.
They are.
In America. But far more people watch this network. Why doesn't MSNBC enjoy the same success?
Usually familiarity breeds contempt. In this case, familiarity breeds comfort. And by familiarity, I mean the names you mentioned before. You have Neil Cavuto, who's been here since the beginning. You have Ducey and Kilmeade that are on in the morning. You have Shep Smith, that's an anchor. You have the reporters that have been here forever, like Eric Shawn and John Scott and Carl Cameron. And when people see these people every day, there's a comfort zone. With comfort comes trust. With trust comes loyalty. With loyalty comes ratings. And since 2002, no one's touched Fox in that department.
Why do you think the other media attack us so consistently? I mean, why bother? Why not put that energy into making your own operation better?
Because they don't agree with the network in terms of ideology of some at the network, particularly on the editorial side.
But so what? I don't agree with a lot of things on CNN and MSNBC and then the network news as well. I don't take my time once in a while, but not much.
When you're number one, obviously you're going to be taking the most shots, right? So I think some of it is envy. I think some of it is just a matter of people looking at the network and not agreeing with what they're hearing, and therefore they take shots at it.
There's real hatred, though, out there.
Oh, at Fox News?
No, against Fox News.
Oh, yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, it's way beyond, well, we disagree, we'll take a shot. It's like, we really want to hurt these people. We really want to destroy them. And despite, as I said, we prevail. Joe, thanks very much.
One question before I leave.
Sure.
Will you be here for the 40th anniversary in 2036?
Well, I'm lifting weights, I'm eating, I'm drinking my Japanese tea. So,
Will Geraldo be here in 2036?
Geraldo, I can't really divulge this because he's on next, but I don't even think Geraldo will be here next week.
Wow, fascinating.
About it. Joe Concha, everybody, when we come right back. Reports that some FBI agents are furious that the Bureau went in the tank during the Hillary Clinton email investigation. We'll tell you what we know. Then Carl Cameron at the Trump headquarters tonight with all the breaking political stuff, and that's coming up.
O'Reilly Factor, the #1 cable news show for 16 years and counting.
Thanks for staying with us. I'm Bill O'Reilly in the Factor follow-up segment tonight. As we told you last night in the Talking Points memo, there's growing evidence that the FBI did not aggressively investigate the Hillary Clinton email fiasco. And today, the Wall Street Journal is reporting that the White House got involved with the investigation, trying to cover up some things from Mrs. Clinton. Also, today, writing in the New York Post, Paul Sperry says a number of FBI agents are disgusted with the Bureau's performance. I have been told that as well by some people within the FBI. With us now to analyze Geraldo Rivera. So what do you think of all this?
I think that on any other night, you might be right. But I think that the scandal involving Donald Trump and these lewd and obscene statements surreptitiously taped or taped on a hot mic with Billy Bush will, if anything, put the Trump presidential campaign on life support.
Let's see how it plays out. I mean, that's speculation.
Bill, I trust you, and you trust me to a certain extent. This is the front page story in every newspaper in the world.
It will be a front page story
in the world.
But to cover it fairly, and I think we have tonight with Dana Perino, and we're going to go with Carl Cameron and another thing. To cover it fairly, you basically have to put forth a few facts, and I'm going to get back to the FBI investigation in a moment. And the fact is that Bill Clinton's one of the most popular politicians, according to all the polls in this country.
Agreed.
And that what Bill Clinton did, all right, makes this look like Shirley Temple. So I'm not sure if the tempo of the country now is personal. I think it's more they're fed up with corruption, they being the folks. Now let's get back to the FBI.
But I can't let you go.
Wait. You can get back to that, but we got to talk about this because this is
I will get there, but you have to come to grips with the fact that Reince Priebus said an hour ago, no woman should ever be described in these terms or talked about in this manner. Kirk, the embattled senator in Illinois, has withdrawn his endorsement of Donald Trump. Donald Trump will be embattled. Tonight, they are absolutely in super DEFCON 5 crisis mode in Trump Tower.
They have to figure out how to address it.
They have squandered, you bring up the FBI and the email scandal and Paul Sperry's article, fine article in the New York Post. Any other night, that would attract some attention, although many people are sick of the email scandal.
Bernie Sanders is sick of it.
Well, I think it goes beyond that. But in this context, where Donald Trump is using the most lewd, I mean,
every curse word you can imagine. Remember, this is a man who has gotten the evangelical vote. He has done a magnificent job in solidifying the Republican base. Now he is exposed, revealed on this hot mic situation in a way, Bill, that you can't. It's not just that he was like kidding around, elbowing the other guy.
All right.
He was saying stuff that, my God, was shockingly obscene about where he's going to put his hand and what he does with kissing. And this is not little. This is huge. And I think that right now, right this second, at 8:44 Eastern Time, whether you're a Republican or Democrat or conservative, there is no doubt, but there is a severe existential crisis in the Trump campaign.
They have
right
to
now.
basically say, see, now you are more hopped up about this one than Dana Perino was. The Trump campaign has to basically come out, and I thought Priebus's statement was very good, by the way. I thought Priebus's statement was, listen, we're a Republican Party, and we don't want anything to do with this kind of behavior. And I think that's what he had to do. I think Priebus was very quick and very responsible in what he said. Now it's up to the Trump campaign, all right, to come out with a mea culpa, which is what I think
They
they're
have
going
to.
do. And I think they will.
But I think they should do it tonight. I don't think they should wait until tomorrow.
Well, I think they have to basically regroup and where they want to do it and how they want to do it.
He's supposed to be with Paul Ryan campaigning in Wisconsin tomorrow, Saturday, a big event planned.
Right.
What are the odds that Paul Ryan will stand next to Donald Trump tomorrow in Wisconsin?
Not good.
Not good.
No.
So I'm telling you, and you've got a debate on Sunday night.
Right, which he's going to have to address it in.
I mean,
Sure.
so here you put yourself in Donald Trump's shoes right now. What's going through this man's mind? And you and I have known him for decades.
Well, he has to apologize.
I've hung up, but but the apology must be, I'm so sorry. That's not the way I feel. It was 11 years ago. Forgive me. I apologize to my wife, who is married. He was married to Melania already. He has to. I just want to take it back to Hillary Clinton, the emails and the speeches that were revealed by WikiLeaks and the FBI and the.
You got a minute, bud.
Okay. This is serious stuff. Was there collusion between the State
Yes.
Department and the White House?
The White House.
Now, there's no allegation there was collusion between the State Department, the White House, and the FBI, however. And you're saying that the FBI is disgruntled over the fact that Hillary was not indicted. There was never
Not indicted. No, it wasn't indicted.
There was never a grand jury.
It was all the immunities that were given. It was the access of Cheryl Mills, her lawyer, who was under investigation herself. The FBI agent said, we never do this kind of stuff.
The leak of this Trump tape has given a free get-out-of-jail pass to everybody involved in the email scandal.
All right.
The Democrats
We'll
will
see.
say the emails are all the Russians leaking crap. It's all about Donald Trump, the monster, in this climate of
We'll
sexual
see.
harassment. I'm telling you.
Dirtiest campaign ever, right?
Dirtiest campaign ever. And somebody leaked those NBC tapes, and they waited 2 days before.
You bet.
2 days before
You
the
bet.
debate.
All right. Well, we're going to cover it fairly. And Carl Cameron.
And you do. You're very fair. Happy anniversary.
Thank you. Thank you.
And you became #1 the month after I started, November
And there's no
2001.
accident. You did it for us.
That's right.
All right. Carl Cameron covering the Trump campaign will be with us. And we'll be right back with that. Back in the book segment tonight, let's bring in Fox's chief political correspondent, Carl Cameron, who's in Manhattan, been following the breaking political situation. So the Trump campaign has got to be coalescing now and trying to figure out how to address the situation. What do you know?
Sure. Well, to say that they're despondent is an exaggeration, but to say that they're worried about it is obvious. This comes at a horribly inopportune time. The Pence debate against Tim Kaine was a sore spot for Mr. Trump. He thought that Pence could have been more aggressive in defending him. The campaign has suggested that this upcoming debate on Sunday night is tremendously important. Some of the pundits have suggested if Trump doesn't win it and really overperform, his campaign could really be in trouble. So this creates a dialogue on Sunday night in the debate, in the town hall style debate, where they could be asked questions from the audience. Potentially a woman could ask Trump about this. It's just not good. And to the extent that some of them would like to say, look, this is a long time ago, as Trump said, it's locker room talk. They also point out that this is perhaps the first time in the entirety of his presidential candidacy that he actually used the words, I apologize, and then went on to say if anybody was offended. So even Trump knows that this is very, very tough. His campaign manager, Kellyanne Conway, is quite famous for helping Republicans deal with women's politics. And right now, there's an awful lot of Republicans who feel like what Trump said 11 years ago makes him sort of sound like Aiken and Murdoch, two candidates who, in the midterms of a few years back, really brought the Republican Party down by some of their offensive, if not at least inaccurate comments.
Now, Geraldo brought up the Ryan Trump Wisconsin situation. Do you expect Speaker Ryan to bail on that now?
Well, there hasn't been any indication of that. Trump's planning to go to Wisconsin tomorrow. Again, he has made quite a to-do about trying to prepare for this debate. He hasn't done the mock stuff that Hillary Clinton did, but he went up to New Hampshire and held a town hall style meeting that his aides hoped would be some sort of a training operation to get him sort of into the mood of how a town hall meets. They know that this is a problem.
Yeah.
And clearly Donald Trump does too because of his apology. Trump is not doing particularly well with women, while he is doing better with white married women. This is the kind of thing that's going to tick somebody off. When you hear a candidate for office talk about how he would grope women, I mean, every woman's somebody's daughter, so that's not a particularly
it'll be interesting
strong
to see
suit before a debate.
if Ryan does get with Trump tomorrow.